Okay, good night, everyone. So I have very good news, and I mean a lot of exciting, interesting stuff happened. I mean on the science front. Unfortunately, there are personal issues with the court and my daughters that heavily loom upon me. But I mean, let's speak about science because we have some great things to speak about. And I mean, for the occasion, I lighted my last and only cigar. It's a really cheap one, but I mean, it's the one my mother gave me money to buy several cigars. I asked her, and that's the last one, and I opened it because there is amazing stuff to speak about. I will start. With the major. Let's put like the major headlines on just right now, so people will not leave us. I think, following some major advancement that we will speak about very, very soon. I think our project is now, I think, at the verge of getting into going to the next step. Very cautiously, of course. And not just right away. This should be planned ahead and proceed with cautious, but we can now start. And I'm sure that you will agree with me, and by the end of this video, that we can start discussing practical steps and to draw like a Gantt, like a projectile timeline with concrete steps that will eventually result, not far from now, in the release of the first animals into the wild, which is extremely exciting. And I'm really, you see me smile because with all, I have a lot of problems, no money, and the problem with the criminal court, and problem with in the family court. But this was so, it was such an advancement that it makes me smile. So, there is really much to talk about and also much to do. I will start by saying that maybe, as you know, I'm like trying to up my game regarding living conditions of the animals. So, yesterday and the day before, I told you that I missed art. So I took to advantage. Took the, even though it wasn't really needed, that took the opportunity to. To create, these are like clay tablets, and these are like, the Oreo cookies would also be used for the, one more here. They will also be used, but it should, it's not, it's more fancy than it could have been, but I really miss like working with oil and acrylics, and I find that even though it's very basic, it's not like eye art, just like just mixing colors and solvents and painting clay stuff that I already had prepared. But I really, it's nice thing, and I miss art a lot, even though it was very small, undertaking, but it still was very nice, and I will of course use it as part of my the advanced living environment terrariums for my my creatures. And this is also very interesting. As you remember, the next planned step was to open the second. I don't. Many times I do things in pairs. And okay, let's put it on the table. I know what many titanesses, like female titans, see right now, like that I will do threesomes and things, because I know that for a long time now, I know that they always think about sex because they never have sex. It's very sad because they are like pretty much monks that, they speak about it, but they never do it, which, it's even worse than my case, because I'm literally a monk. I wasn't like that like until 4 years ago, but I was like a sexually active guy that turned into a monk because of all sorts of circumstances. But they're like, they're always like, they like to speak about BDSM and things like that, and like extreme sex. But it's clear that they know nothing about it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, so it wasn't like a metaphor for threesomes, but I really like to do things in pairs. It's kind of like I've spoken about it in the past. I mean, it gets all sort of reasons, and I don't want to repeat everything right now. But so I created, I mean, together with the red plastic container that we've discussed, and it was very exciting. I created another one without any biological material, but with some synthetic material, and my semen, of course, and in addition another like a big worm or a big snail of modified silicone, and a ring from fake golden chain, and a little bit of sellotape. And also there is this is an old container of dry oil color, which contained very tiny bits of gold and silver, gold and silver. I always have gold and silver colors, but really a little bit was left. But I thought that maybe it's enough to be used for all sorts of interesting stuff. And I can tell you that we do, I mean, just from the outside, we do see that there is also sort of like geometric shapes under the sellotape, which is it's a phenomenon that was not known to me until now, and it's very interesting. Perhaps, I mean, we'll see here, I mean, less life and more also like, I mean, construction project, which also we know that the neurons can do, and if they do it in microscopic scale, they can also do it like in bigger scales, like they like we see that they do with animals, and that's also the thing that I see like dots or little rods inside the silicone itself, and I suspect these are life forms that were created inside the silicone, which this is very exciting because the silicone is actually very hard. I mean, when it's in the tube, it's soft. It's soft and sticky, but very quickly it's soft, sticky, and translucent, like transparent and lucid. But when it's outside of it, it very quickly becomes very hard, even though it's not too hard for them to work with. I mean, they can work with that. We've seen it already. But I mean, it's becoming hard, and also it gets a gold shade. I suspect, as I said, that it's a chemical reaction with the oxygen, but I'm not 100% certain. Anyway, so I mean, building things inside of the, if indeed it's the work of the neurons and they did create life forms or other structure inside the silicon, this is like a new achievement for them, because I mean, we've seen that we can do it inside oil, but this is a completely different thing. It's very, very hard. I don't want to open it right now. You know what? Perhaps I will. Just a second. I'm not too I'm lenient with opening and closing my you know, I mean, I'm not too worried about contamination, because in any way, eventually we will release it into the wild. So, and I want to give it some air. And this I mean, all what I have until now are sealed containers, so I must open it for oxygen transfer. I mean, you know, I work on the living environment. This will be much more complicated environment with sponges and also like chimneys that will allow us transfer of CO2 or an oxygen without opening the lid completely, like I do right now. I just want to make sure that what I see is exactly, I mean, I try to touch the silicone to see if it's indeed hard as I think it is. Yes, I need to be very cautious not to. Yes, it's very, very hard. It's amazing that they did it. I mean, that they actually they were enabled to build inside and assisting inside the silicone. I don't know how to get it out of them. Even big things like worms, amazing. I don't know how to get it out. But anyway, I want to put it on hold. This project. I mean, however, I'm interested in it as it is, because actually I totally forgot. I mean, it was on the. I mean, it was that I forgot about it. It went to the back of my head, and I didn't do anything with it. With a very important and interesting project that was like kept like in hold. That, of course, was the project. I mean, it's 2 weeks old, I think now. The project of the ring. If you remember, I wanted to I mean, I mean, naturally, I mean, I think I need to apologize for it, but I mean, I was excited by the idea of gaining material wealth from those neos, which I think, I mean, everyone think about it. But so I thought about, like, let's clone the most expensive thing that we have in this apartment, which is actually not that expensive at all. Like, it was not many hundreds of dollars. And so I tried so I put the ring inside the very, I mean, it's inside this glass that was actually full much higher. And on a minute I will say what I put inside, and I also kept it. I mean, I kept it closed, and also I exposed it to electrolysis, which is direct current. I mean, with two rods inside the liquid for a long period of time, and then I just left it, I mean, outside for a couple of days, I mean, exposed to air, and then I covered it and left it like that for 2 weeks. And only now I actually went to see what's inside, and what's going inside. And I will tell you that there was no ring at all. But I mean, it's not bad news at all, because I mean, I think that with the knowledge that I have today, with much more experience, I could have actually cloned a ring like my mother's ring. But as I said many times, I mean, it wouldn't help me at all. I mean, if I had more money, it's just more money for the government to take away from me, and they will, of course, incite in Bal, like, I mean, they will order in Bal to open also the child support, I mean, case, which is already closed, but she will open it, and she will say, okay, the terms of, like, you don't see your daughters now. I mean, you've used to raise them like half the time. Now you don't see them at all, because I mean, they don't allow me, and it's very sad. But now, so you should give me more money. So let's take into account, like, all your ability to create rings, and give me 2 tons of money, which of course a lot of it will be transferred in indirect ways to the operators, because that's the way it is. The operators, which are, that, as a reminder, are the ones that are writing the review to the court. The ruling in the family courts is mostly, I mean, in general, is almost identical to the ruling of the report of the social worker, which is the operator. I mean, can you imagine how sick it is? But that's the reality. It's hell. It's not a democracy. It's hell. So I mean, I'm much more interested in, as I said many times, like, in advancing my project of general Terran life form upgrade, and with special, I mean, precedence, and I mean, special, of course, not only precedence, but also like focusing of assets and of efforts on Homo sapiens, understandably. So I'm now, as you know, I'm much more interested in life forms, and we've actually, I mean, this glass, even though it contains much less material than, I mean, when I filled it, I would say immediately that it contains a ton of life, and big life even. I mean, it contains life forms that I categorized, it was yesterday or today. I mean, I spoke about yesterday as well, as megastructures. Megastructures are what I call life forms that are seen, I mean, not only detectable, but even it's not enough to be detectable by the naked eye, but also, I mean, that you see its full form, and like, I mean, its functional form, and it's the function that derives from it using, I mean, your eyes. I mean, like the one that, I mean, the red ones that I've showed you earlier, and these were actually even larger than the minimal that I define as megastructure, and the snail is gigastructure. So here we have a couple of, like, small megastructure, but for certainly megastructures. I mean, like, big life forms that are inside this jar. jar, I mean, this small cup, and it's amazing. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. And I'll tell you just now that what I aim to do is to try to revive them, and this should be done with extreme care. It's not. I mean, I'm not very. It's. I don't really care. I mean, all that much to watch them under the microscope, even though maybe I'll take a very small sample, because when you see something, I mean, when you put something on a slide and you press the cover on it, I mean, you can. I mean, generally you kill it. So it's and it's much more important to me right now to make it live. And I mean, it should be argued that I mean I need to prove that it's actually that it's even a possibility. As I said before, we've seen in the oil, in the force, specifically in the force, but also in others, the oil samples, we've seen actually more than one life form that with a trail after it, so that's like a non-linear trail, which signifies that it was alive and moving, but it's not like a clear proof. And I understand people want some more proof, and I really hope that I mean, of supplying the proof today. My main, I mean, I don't have like the life that like advanced life terrariums, like life support systems yet that I plan. Maybe I mean, as I said, I mean, I put maybe too much effort in the artistic side, but I mean, I missed it. So I spent a couple of hours that were perhaps redundant from the scientific point of view to create something that is like more colorful and like interesting. And I mean, you can I mean, forgive me, right? I mean, it's like art is also part of life, specifically my life, and specifically during the last year and 2 months, something like that. So we don't have the advanced life, the advanced terrariums yet, but we can think about other stuff and tell you what I tell you what I had in mind, and I'll probably do it right now after I finish the video. So I want to be able to revive both. I mean, I will take a sample, like there is a lot of stuff here. I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, even though it's a small glass, it contains a lot of stuff inside, because it's like, so I'll take part of it. I will leave like that. I mean, half sealed, but I mean, I'll take three like little small spoons of life, and be careful not to ruin anything. So I thought I've seen something moving, but I'm not sure. So I'll take 3 spoons and put it like in petri dishes. I'll use the mold petri dishes, where I don't have many petri dishes, and it bugs me because I had many and I use them stupidly. I use them for art purposes, and for these purposes, I mean, other stuff can be used as well. And the glass petri dishes are actually very, useful. Who knew? For laboratory work. So perhaps I'll use the mold colonies, which, I mean, I don't need so many mold colonies. I mean, 1 is enough. I already took a lot of samples for the experiments that were related to the building of the, I mean, it's not really building, it's the initiating of the Colosseum project that we should also return to. I mean, it was, I mean, it spent some time in the freezer, and now it's in my desk. I mean, one of the things that on my desk now, one of the things that I should return to and create more videos and see how it goes, like the Pacific Rim style fight in the ocean between the blue maxillas and the red biomonsters, which I took from the mold colonies. But I mean, for now, I think 1 mold colony is enough, and because I mean, I really needed them. I mean, I've prepared 5 or 6 of the mold colonies actually, because my plan was to, as maybe you remember, to use them for the creation not of synthetic life forms, but the creation of a second type that I'm interested in, which is mutants, like like X-Men, life forms that are still 100% biological. But my hypothesis, which of course should be proved, is that it is possible for if you put a small amount of not large not too large neros inside, like a group of germs that are stronger than them, then they will eat. I mean, maybe several germs will die, but I mean, they will overcome. I mean, it's possible for the biological life form to be triumphant. I mean, it's not. So I mean, the neos are not like, or they are not gods. I mean, some would say that they share things with God, but I mean, they can be eaten by microbes or small life forms, and or even like not microbes, like little worms, and it is possible that they will gain some superpowers from it, and maybe after some time is passed in the container, maybe they will pass they will multiply and pass their new traits to their offspring. And I mean, it's all a hypothesis, of course. I mean, but the idea is that after some time, you should see like two groups inside the containment there, the petri dish or terrarium, like the germs or the microbes that were, I mean, descendants of those that were not mutated by, I mean, and did not get superpowers, and the superpower germs. And it's very interesting to compare them one to another. Now, I don't even know what humans gain from it. I do know that Israelis gain something from it because they eat us all the time. They take away our semen by force, and the eggs of the females, and they just eat it themselves. And this is, I mean, crimes against humanity of unimaginable proportions. And the fact that Americans know about it and do nothing, I mean, it's one of the major reasons why an asteroid is on their way to America right now. I don't know how many asteroids you already discovered, but I'm sure that they keep coming. And a major factor is the fact that you knew that in Israel, it is customary for the intelligence and the security segments to forcibly take this, the life functions, the semen and the eggs of sentient beings, and to eat them like for many years. I mean, and the Americans are fine with it. They are a woke nation. I cannot even begin to stress how disgusted I am with the Americans that, I mean, presumably champion like all sorts of progressive values, but I mean, they support such, I mean, crimes that are unimaginable. So I mean, I can't speak about it without getting mad. I'm a human being, and this is amazingly, I mean, it's satanic in nature. So the Israelis do it, so I guess they gain something. So I mean, maybe, I mean, in small scale, microbes or small living forms could also gain something. And then it's like, from research point of view, it can be interesting to compare to like such, I mean, populations, one that gained it mutated and kept the mutation as the dominant form through their descendants, and one which is basically identical to the original population. But all this is kind of complicated, and I even though this also, I mean, to be honest, this also, I mean, it will also advance me in my political project. So it's not like purely scientific, the mutant project. It can also help me in the political front, but it's just too complicated right now. I mean, especially, I mean, I can take them like mold colonies and place semen inside it. Maybe I'll even do it. I mean, for kind of like, I don't know, so we'll put it on the side, the covered, and see what's happened like after a week or so. Maybe interesting stuff will happen, but I can't now really, I mean, spend too much time on it, because it's a different like strand of research from the main thing, which is the creation of synthetic life forms. And it's going to be complicated, especially in I mean, not only has to face the neros, I mean, to actually stage the fights, which, I mean, could be easily done, but I mean, to track the different populations of microbes, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, it's not just they don't, you can't call them like in the phone and ask them to identify themselves. So maybe I'll postpone it for later, but the only thing I do is I'll keep one or two petri dishes with mold, and I'll put the semen with it. I still have plenty in my fridge, even though I used just now quite a bit for like another experiment, which, I mean, let's not, I mean, it's interesting, but I can't speak about anything. This evening I've created another very interesting experiment. which is now in the freezer in close. I mean, in big, relatively, as we said, I will try to use like bigger containers inside the freezer in order for oxygen to exist, while also keeping it sealed, because I cannot contaminate the freezer, and also to keep the temperature low, because as many people said, it's obvious that at least in the first stages after they are out of my body, the neurons require low temperature. So I've prepared just that, and kind of interesting with what sample exactly I placed inside. But let's keep it for later, maybe tomorrow, and to speak about it. So where were we? Where were we? I mean, I lost my strength. Okay, so we want now, but what we really want is to show that synthetic life forms are even a possibility. Now it's, of course, a possibility, because I'm a human life form, even though he's treated like subhuman trash and less than a dog all his life, and people around him see him as a hopeless child. No matter how, he can speak and write in any different languages, and he can show you amazing scientific results. But I will always be treated by the Israelis like a junk human being that every asshole can just put its boots on my face, and that's the way it is. So you have such a human being. Even if you choose to treat him as subhuman. So it's quite a proof that this is possible. But what we need to really prove is that it's possible to create a living creature in the lab, and also that the neurons are actually able to do it. Because you could argue, which I totally think, which I'm sure is incorrect, that you can argue that they can only do the only thing that the neurons do, besides fighting germs and viruses inside the host body, like my body, is that they create sculptures and landscapes and drawings. I'm sure it's not true, because we've seen it in several videos in the beginning, actually, that we see a lot of movement of germs inside the yellow pools or adjacent to it right after they came out of the freezer. So I immediately raised the possibility of them of something like of a revive that happened there, and it's still the most dominant. It's not the only option, but that's what I think it happened. That they revived very small life forms. I couldn't magnify more than what I have, maximum 1,000 or 1,500 magnification, and they was too small to understand what they are. But there were actually viruses or germs. So how do I plan to revive it? I'm planning again to put it to place 3 samples inside 3 closed containers. With one, I will replace I'll place the linseed oil, the oil which is used as a medium solvent, non-dry, quick dry medium for oil painting, and the 2 others I'll just I'll use one purified water, and the other water with kind of like a little bit of salt, which will show, I hope will simulate salt water. And I'll also warm them a little bit, because I guess even though neurons don't like the heat, normal life forms, especially small ones, there is no reason that I can think of them not liking the heat. And you should remember, these life forms are, I don't know, they are meant by their creators to live in Earth, or Earth-like, places. They are not designed for the home planet of the Neros. The Neros might come from a very cold home planet. I don't know. I call this planet the hypothetical Bear Island. If someone remembers from a very like a podcast that I created, that I'm very fond of. It's in the Evernote, in the Walk Firetop Mountain notebook. So where are we? So I mean, if the Nero perhaps prefer like colder temperature, but it doesn't mean that the life forms that they create prefer colder temperature. For example, I don't like found it particularly. I mean, it's pretty cold now when I'm in the balcony because I don't want to. I mean, to wake my mother, which is sensitive to noises. So I want to speak in the balcony. And it's pretty cold and open window, and I'm using a t-shirt, which is typical to me because I don't suffer too much from cold, but I don't like, I mean, I do not prefer minus 20 Celsius like the Neos, because, I mean, clearly I was designed for Earth or Earth-like planet. Now, before we conclude, then I'll get to, I mean, start business, start doing, I mean, working on the environments. I mean, it should be, I mean, explained. How do I even, what's the problem? They're always, I mean, using the honks, no matter what time it is, because it's always something that I do or says, always, I mean, they all listen, like every person in the Shabak, presumably, and sometimes everything that I said or do, there is some guy or prostitute or pedophile in the Shabak, which, I mean, found it to signify something to somebody, and he or she needs to use a honk or reverse sound or whatever sound, or send me a message, like, I mean, non-related message, just mean, so I will be notified that I've said or perform an action which presumably signifies something to somebody. That's my life. That's my life. Maybe someone watched me, I don't know, take like a puff of a cigar, and he thought, okay, so this guy, so it reminds me of oral sex. So I mean, maybe he wants like a woman to perform oral sex, or maybe he himself is gay like us. Or I mean, they can sing so many infantile thoughts that are not my. I mean, why should I care about these idiots? But anyway, they are polluting the nose around me, and I can't even run away because I'm under arrest, as you know. So first of all, you could, I mean, the fact is that you can see many life forms here. I don't want to open it because I don't want it to hurt it, and before I'm like surgically remove them to new compartments. But you can definitely see even like, I mean, noticeable worms inside this stuff. So how do I know that these are, I mean, there are two options. One, that they are sculptures, and second, that they are hibernating life-like synthetic life creatures that with some effort will be able to revive, and perhaps even I'll do it just now, very quick, very soon, with some, I mean, some luck and help, I mean, siyata d'ishmaya, help of God. But you could argue, I mean, how do you know that these are not just life forms, like, I mean, living creatures, like biologically living creatures? And I would say that this is, I mean, out of the question. I will explain why. So the stuff that you see here, it's placed in the glass, but it's actually like rock solid right now. It wasn't like that in the beginning. It was made by a very large quantity of semen. I know that the Titan females now are just like, I mean, starting to roll their eyes and like devise all sort of like funny jokes of wow, how funny it is, like a lot of semen, because that's the way they is. I mean, they are, and I actually pity them because, I mean, they all, I mean, you can see by their messages that they always surround. I mean, everything is always surround everything is always around like sex and oral sex and semen and stuff, and but they never do anything at all. It's actually sad because they're actually nuns. They're for all their life, and this is even worse than my case. I'm a monk, but not all my life, like only 4 or 5 years. But anyway, of course, we are all, I mean, the ones that are in Israel, live in Israel, I don't know how many live outside Israel. We are all prisoners of the Nazi regime, so it's not funny at all. It's a crime against humanity. So I've covered it with a very relatively large amount of semen. I've used maybe like 3 or 4 full syringes, I remember, which is quite a bit. And I placed all of this on top of like the base material, which is the most of the mess of what we see here, and which and the base layer, which was kind of heavy layer, was, I mean, approximately 50% sugar, white sugar, and 50% polydyne, which is an antiseptic solution, and like a solution, I mean, that is used to disinfect wounds, open wounds. And the reason for that was twofold. First, I wanted to be sure that they are no fucking germ in this place. I mean, because this kind of mixture, I mean, is not conductive to germs at all. I mean, by definition. And the second is that I wanted the sugar to be like hold together and I mean be firm, because I wanted to be relatively like thick, and not too liquidy. I actually don't even remember now why at this point. It was all. We need to remember that it was not. It was supposed to be an experiment on like on the scientific project of cloning material, not life form. So it wasn't very important for me that it will be hospitable to life forms, even though eventually it turned out that it is. But I thought about like gold and diamonds at the time. So there was like a thick layer of that consisted about 50% sugar, 50% polydan, which is an antiseptic solution, antibacterial solution, and on top of it the juice, the semen, the holy semen, the bot juice, what they called, but this was also mixed with some with small quantities of other stuff that actually, I mean, I cannot even say what were I thinking. Maybe I talked about it or wrote it. I mean, but it's kind of like bizarre thing. I mean, I remember that I placed, I mean, a little bit of like grinds of grinded beeswax from a candle, and also a little bit of grinded ash from this, like cigar ash, like that, a little bit grinded ash. Did we put anything else? And I placed two like big so the two iron rods which were used for the purpose of the electrolysis are still there, and possibly they were, I mean, used as a symbol for the neros to create worms, because we see many worms there right now. So what we have now is actually a very thick, like crystallized solution that is almost not liquid at all. It's like very, very thick. There is almost no liquid. I mean, no like liquid inside it. It's kind of like crystallized ground that is contained. I mean, from semen, by semen. I mean, it does not contain cellular life, as you know, and it contains also a large amount of antiseptic solution and sugar and wax and cigar ash, and this is not something. It's I don't think that it's possible that life could have been grown inside this thing. I mean, it's rock solid, almost rock solid right now, and also, I mean, how is it possible even that life will I mean, it was admittedly I mean, open to the air for several good days, but I don't see like worms going up like it was on a shelf on my bookshelf, and just go there and decide to waste their soul, their poor soul, exactly in this hellish goo. And also, I mean, if they're dead, why are they not like I would assume that the biological material after some time in such a like in pressure, because it's under pressure, because it's like it's almost rock solid, the solution, so the pressure would have like crushed it, but maybe I'm wrong about it. Anyway, we can assume that they are not biological. They are either sculpture, or they're synthetic life forms, which you can say robots, or they are sculpture that are, I mean, presumably could become synthetic life forms if you do the correct steps that I'm not sure I know what they are, but let's try the basic, which is just, I mean, let them rest in a more liquid solution, like watery solution. I mean, one salt water, which would simulate salt water. The second is fresh water, and the third will be linseed oil. And I'll tell you how it went. So that's it for now.